Hello, everybody. How's it going? I am going to just do one thing here before we get super excited. I can't remember where it is. Okay. So it is igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse. So let me put that into this right here just so we can find it. So it is http blank bop bop and then igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse. I think that's it, right? Let me just make sure. Wait, no, there's an S there because it has to be secured. Ash. Okay, cool. So, Nikki Jam, hello. But yeah, the link is up. I don't know if I can put it in here. Let me see. HTTPS and then igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse. I don't know if that'll actually be a clickable link. Maybe it will be. So anyway, I just finished. I had to wait a couple minutes because the site wasn't loading pictures and I had to like wait and redo a bunch of stuff, whatever. I'm exhausted. I am so tired. And this is very different because this is, again, the fourth poetry collection that I've done a crowdfunding campaign for. But this is the first one where I really use the add-ons. And so like you can get the paintings and stuff and the postcard size painting packs, the prints and stuff like that. And I've also never done prints before. So this whole thing is very bizarre and weird for me. But it seems pretty cool. I'm excited. I'm exhausted, so I don't know if my excitement level is overflowing or brimming or whatever. But I kind of just want to take a nap now. So now it's time to party. I should probably take some B vitamins. Let me go get some vitamins, guys, because I need my vitamins. So we will be right back. I haven't eaten anything today either. Should probably eat something. But we could wait a minute for that, I guess. So here we are. I'm beat. So what else is going on? I seem to have lost everyone. That's okay. The video. I should probably put the video up. I'll put the video up. We'll do that. And then that way people could at least come and check it out. But I did add a section to the book while I was doing all of this stuff, which was originally going to be a stretch goal. And then I really liked the idea. So I'm adding a section to the book. So instead of it just being the texting the muse, the muse, shacking the muse, fighting the muse, and killing the muse, there's also now going to be another section called Without the Muse. And this one painting I have is going to be the section bit for that. So it's just like a messy darkness. So that'll be cool. I'm excited. I'm so excited that this is finally done. and that this book is finally going to come out and it's finally over. You know what I'm saying? Um, it'll be really good to exercise those demons. And I don't even want to say it like that because, like, I don't want this to end up being like a real negative Nancy kind of thing, you know? Um, like, most of you, I think most people don't know who my ex is that I'm talking about. We tried to keep that kind of quiet the whole time we were together and afterwards and everything. And I'm not doing this to call her out at all. I'm doing this because I'm a poet and that's what I do. I don't mention her like by name in the book. I think there were a couple poems where I mentioned her by name, but I think I changed that just so that wouldn't come back. And I'll go through the book one more time just to make sure. But also, like, she's doing really well right now, and I'm super freaking happy for her. And I wish her all the best. And I hope she has a great life, the life that she wanted, and the life that she deserves. I mean, we all deserve the life we want. So, I am very proud of her and happy for her, and I just want her to, you know, move on with her life and do her thing. I've moved on with my life and I'm doing my thing, you know. She did get a dedication, but I'm not going to use her name in the dedication. And then there's like a God mode tier in the crowdfunding thing that basically like pays for the entire thing. And if I get that, that person is also going to get a dedication page. Just because like that's amazing and that's awesome. And every once in a while, something like that happens. Like I've had a couple campaigns, not just books, but with like film campaigns and music campaigns that I've done, where somebody either came in and paid for the whole thing right off the bat, or like I was like halfway to the goal, and on the last day, somebody showed up and like paid for the whole thing. And every time something like that happened, I ended up dedicating the project to that person because that's just awesome. It's people like that that make artists and people like me be able to do the things that we do. Not to take away from anyone who does the like smaller donations and contributions and stuff, like all of that is obviously needed and loved and appreciated. But yeah, I just want to make sure, because I don't know if this is necessarily me glamorizing the fact that I documented an entire relationship in a poetry book. Like I'm not trying to like push that, because I feel like in doing that, everyone's going to think that I'm like going after my ex, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just that I wrote some really good poems being in a place that she put me through. And they're really good and I want them out, and like they tell a really good story. Like I don't know, it's just so stupid because like I remember, this is so dumb, I'm telling you guys way more than I should right now. She sent me, like, it wasn't the first message she sent, but it was like the first day or something like that. She sent me a message of her getting into the bathtub with a glass of wine, and then like a total poet douche, I wrote a poem about it and sent it to her. And then I think we even talked about it that day or like the next day, where it was like, whatever comes of this, I'm just going to write poems about everything that happens. And whenever this ends, whatever it is, however it ends, when it's done, I'll have like a really good book. And it was like, we both, and there were obviously like feelings there, and feelings grew and the whole thing, but it was almost like we both went into it living for the plot, and like went into it with the idea that this was going to be a book. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And like, I feel like I really held back a lot at the end because I was publishing like the Blood Rag and the Bloodshed Review. And there was one poem I put in the Blood Rag that was about her, like at the end. And like that's going to be like the first poem in the book, like a little like poem before the book starts kind of thing. But I could have went really hard on her like publicly at the end, but like who the fuck's gonna do that? I mean, I know people do that. Ugh, it's disgusting. But anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like none of this is for anything at her. Like if I would have put this book out 2 years ago, it would have been me trying to like show her, but like I couldn't even read the poems for like over a year. So it was like they just ruminated and sat. And then once I was in a place where I could like go back and read the poems and not like cry my eyes out or have like a broken heart or whatever like that, I was able to like look more objectively like at the poems as poems instead of the poems as like love letters to someone who loved me who stopped loving me, if that makes any sense. So like I'm happy with how the poems are now. I'm happy with the way the poems flow through the book. There are a lot of poems about her in Winter, if you have Winter, of Your Mom Taught Me Price for Poetry. But those were all while we were together poems because we were still together when that book came out. So there's that. So yeah, I don't know. Like, are there any other questions about it? So now there's 6 sections in it instead of 5 sections. And there will be a chapbook of the extra poems that didn't make it into the book that I'm only going to make however many people contribute to the campaign, that number. So if it's 10 people who contribute to the campaign, there will be 10 chapbooks of extra poems, if that makes sense. Everyone who contributes to the campaign is going to get a random art print of one of the 7 pieces of my art that are in the book. And then there's like add-ons that you don't even see until you pick something, which I don't know why they do that, but that's just how they do it, where you could either get like the whole pack of art cards or the prints or whatever, or you could even get individual original paintings. And the paintings honestly like are a little more than what I would sell them for normally, but I'm just trying to raise money for the project. Hang on one second. My landlord is calling me. Um, Hang on. Sorry, guys. This is awful. Sorry. Okay, so here we are. Oh my gosh, that was awful. I'm sorry that happened. Um, let me see. Okay, so back to everything else. I'm kind of all over the place right now. Oh yeah, the add-ons. I don't know why they do it like that. It is what it is. And again, I don't know if using Kickstarter is any easier than using Indiegogo. I've just been using Indiegogo since what was the first project I did on there? It was probably like 2011 or 2012. I was crowdfunding films and slates of films. So I would like try to raise money for like 5 films at once and then make them all back to back. It's pretty cool. But anyhow, yeah, that's how we're doing it. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything, please let me know, either in the comments or whatever. Honestly, if you are one of those people that like to explain how awful my grammar is and how my spelling is shit, if you want to go look at the Indiegogo page and tell me how I, spelt cat wrong or something like that, or I spelt the tahi or something, you know how it goes. You know me. But yeah, I'm kind of exhausted. I'm glad it's up though. And I did the video thing for it. I probably could do a more concise video. So I'll probably maybe do another video and add that in. And then I was just trying to put like pictures of like the art pieces up in a gallery, and like I couldn't get that to work. I don't know if it's a thing where like a certain time of day when there's a lot of people using the site, it's like hard to upload images or whatever. But that was probably the hardest thing I had to do, because like for a couple days now, like trying to upload images was tricky. So but yeah, and so there's other perks where you get an audiobook of me reading the book. If you want, there's perks. Let me see. There's perks like where you could get like the end of everything or winner added into it. But I don't have very many copies of End of Everything left. So I think there's only a couple of those available. You should do like a documentary on the making of this book. You have so much footage talking about it. I bet it'd be really interesting. Would it be interesting? I don't know, because I feel like I kind of been just saying the same things over and over again for the last like 3 years or however long it's been. Something that's weird was that a lot of my vlogs, like when I first got to LA, um, had her in it, but like I was constantly cutting her out of stuff. Um, you know, there was a there were a couple pretty good reasons why we were trying to keep our um, relationship on the down low. Um, but it was kind of weird. And then I don't know if he ever found out. I'm sure he did. He can't be that stupid, right? I don't know. Like it would have caused some shit for her. Um and it would have cost me, and this is so stupid because like when me and my ex-wife split, I lost a lot of supporters, like people who were like readers of mine, people who followed me on YouTube. I lost a lot of those people because even though me and the ex-wife split was like amicable and like, I mean, it hurt, but it was amicable. And we were still like friends after the breakup. Um, everybody um, freaked out and thought that I had done something awful. Okay, hang on. Um, okay. Sorry. So back to that thing. Um, oh, like a lot of people thought that I had done something bad. And the reason why me and my ex-wife, I mean, not the reason why we split, but like she wanted to keep it quiet because she just was embarrassed that like it didn't work out and she didn't want people to know about it. And so when we split, we both said, okay, well, let's just kind of like keep it like chill and just not talk about it. And maybe no one will ask about it. Well, that lasted about 3 months. And then people started asking about it. And she was posting pics of her on Instagram, like back home with her parents. And I'm like living in LA doing my thing. And it was just like kind of a obvious, like, you guys aren't together anymore. So instead of like any people just like respecting our privacy about it, like because I didn't talk about it publicly, the assumption was that I had done something bad and I had fucked something up somehow. So people who were really like fans of us together, um, obviously took her side, which I mean, I would expect people to do. But anyway, so I took a big hit financially once that started happening. And it took like about, I don't know, like 9 months, 8 or 9 months before I was able to make up that income from that. And so knowing that was a thing, I didn't want to walk into another situation with somebody where if I started talking about them publicly, the same kind of thing would happen. And then what if we broke up? Would that whole thing come crashing down and stuff? So that was my reasoning for not wanting to share about our relationship. And her reason, I guess we could talk about it. I'm sure I've talked about it on a members thing, but her husband was a fan of my work. Um, to some degree. And he watched my YouTube channel. And like, I don't know if it was a thing where he was always trying to get her to watch, and then she was like, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to read his stuff, like whatever. Um, and then she finally did, and she said, it was something like she watched a video and she said to herself, I'm gonna fuck that man. And sure as shit, you manifest stuff and that's how it happens. But yeah, so that's how it happened. And so because I already went through the thing where I had lost like supporters of my work, like she didn't want to like exacerbate that by like blah blah blah. And she also was very worried about what kind of like ramifications would happen from her ex if he found out who she was with, if that makes sense. I'm sure he ended up finding out. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to like do that kind of math, but I don't know. Sometimes I get really surprised at how narcissistic and self-absorbed some people are, that they just have like absolutely no clue at all about what's going on unless it's about them. But hey, whatever. So anyhow, I am since you were talking about a dedication. Oh yeah, so back anyway, back to the documentary thing. Would it be interesting? I don't know if it would be interesting. If you remember, I don't know if you were around, Nikki, when this was going on, but there was a documentary being made about me. And we shot a ton of stuff. And then Shaylin Marks was directing it for a period, and she interviewed a bunch of other people too. But the breakup, I can't remember how soon after it was, but the breakup and the documentary filming kind of was coincide, like it was kind of happening around the same time. And it was rough because it was new and fresh. And one of the people who, the director at that point, because the documentary went through like 4 directors or something like that over the course of like 2 years. But that director really wanted to focus on my relationship with my ex. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think she's going to do that. Like, and so like one of the first interviews I did with him, like no matter what we talked about, he kept bringing it back to my ex and how it made me feel. And I spent, I don't know, maybe like 4 hours like trying to talk about art and poetry and music and film. And I'm just like bawling my eyes out. And then I would get pissed off and I would cuss him out and I would leave. And then I realized it was my apartment I just walked out of. And so I got to go back. And so I would go back and we would do the whole fucking thing again. There was a couple times we shot in different locations, like in like Long Beach. There was somewhere else we shot too, but I ended up leaving those places and then going, haha, I can fucking leave now, motherfucker. Let's see how a poet makes a collection based upon such personal time. Totally. Everything from writing the poetry through to choosing the final set list for the collection. I think it'd be really awesome. Okay. I As far as set lists go, see, this is where I feel like I do things very different than what most people would do. I don't take anything out for the most part. So, like, if I'm writing poems about a certain person or a certain topic or a certain time period, whatever I write in that period goes in the book because that was what I did. Like, I don't pull poems out. When I say the poems, like for the chapbook, like the poems that don't fit, those poems are poems that I don't want to say are too self-indulgent, but like they're poems that I already hit that point in another poem, or the poem is like a poem where me and her are talking, but we're talking about like something completely different that has nothing to do with our relationship. And so those are the poems that didn't make it into the book. But like with Winter, since Winter was a time frame book where it was like any poem I wrote about anything in between 2021 and 2022 went into it, that was more of like, here are all the poems that I'm putting in here up until this point, and now I'm out of room. So the rest of these poems that I wanted to put into it, those ended up in runner up. And then the poems that I still had that didn't fit in runner up, those ended up in extra extra. And that's how that one went. But like, because I remember you telling me, Nikki, that when you did your collection, you had like 400 poems and you only ended up publishing 60. And now your head hurts. Which part made your head hurt? But is that true? Like you like were really like pulling poems? I don't really pull poems. Like if it's about a topic that I'm writing about. Yeah, that's right. I had a lot of duplicates. Like kind of the same thing, like poems that were touching upon the same kind of things. I get you. Yeah. So the chapbook that's going to go out with this one. Here's the thing that's kind of stupid, and I don't know if I should even do it like this. I feel like this is how this is going to go. But I even like priced out me getting a really slim volume, like perfect bound, instead of like a chapbook like I do, because I still don't have my printer. I'm getting it next week, but I don't know what condition it's in. And so that's terrifying. Dude, I really effed myself up here. I need to fix that. I basically carved a cohesive story out of what I had and Frankensteined a few that were weak individually, strong ones stitched together. I do like that. I wish I did that more because that seems like a lot of fun. And I wanted to kind of do that the other day when we were doing one of the Anarchy Crew writing Zoom things, where you take one thing and then like cut it up and put it in with another thing. But what I would actually like to do is work on a poem where I'm thinking about something like heavy. Like I'm thinking about and I'm dealing with something really heavy and like brutal, you know, like whether it's a breakup or death or something existential as shit, whatever. And then while I'm doing that, also be writing a poem about like cleaning the house and having it be like this stanza is about what I'm thinking about. This is about what I'm doing. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm doing. And not have it even be something like, ooh, the juxtaposition of this is like such a metaphor of blah, 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 blah. But just a thing where it's like, these are two things that are happening at the same time. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I would love to do a whole book like that, like do a chapbook of poems like that. That would be fucking amazing. That's an idea now. Maybe I'm going to end up doing that. I really like that idea a lot. Like, I don't know, like writing a poem about heartbreak while ordering food at the McDonald's drive-thru, you know, something like that. You know how I be, just making shit up as I go. But I did want to call it synergy. Look at you with the titles. This chick rolling in. The one thing I will say though too is that I do need to rewrite the dedication, I think. I think the dedication I originally was going to have for the book feels a little too not sappy, but like, I don't know. It felt a little too, and I don't even want to say desperate. I don't know. So I was thinking about it yesterday, like what I want to impart on the dedication. Because honestly, like this book obviously would not have happened if it weren't for her. The book is very happy and very sad. But for the most part, when I think back on my relationship with her, I think of the good times. You know what I'm saying? And I only think about the bad times when I'm reading the poems that I was writing in the depths of those bad times. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's how that went. Thanks for the memories. Yeah, I mean something a little more heartfelt than that, but like also like thank you for the time we shared together. Like I will look back at that fondly, you know, or whatever. Like I don't know, something like that. Thanks for the content. That makes me sound like some awful like influencer content whore. I don't want to do that. But I don't know. Like I don't have any ill will towards her. Like that's I don't have any ill will towards her, but I also don't want her back. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like a lot of people would probably go, "Oh, this is a very desperate attempt at blah blah blah." Like what was that Robin Thicke? Didn't he like make a whole album to try to get his ex back? And then she's like, "No." And then he's just like, "Oh." But I mean, all of like Fingering the Mundane was like 2016 to 2019, you know? The End of Everything was 2019 through 2020. And Winter was 2021 to 2022. Like all of like my books are like time capsules. You know what I'm saying? So fuck, you know, like I'm gonna write about my life that I had, you know. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm like talking shit right now. I hope this is clear. Like it's just I wouldn't have been able to do this without her. and I wish her all the best and all the happiness. I love that you encapsulate your life like that. I kind of do too with photos, but I probably should try words too. I don't know if I'm as good at it anymore, because the one thing that writing this collection did was show me how dangerous my own poetry is to myself. And I couldn't, like, not that I read my poems a lot, but I couldn't read any poems about her. And then especially like the dark poems where like I was afraid of what I was going to do to myself. Like going back and reading those, like now I could look back at it objectively, but like going back and reading those, man, like I kept trying, like every month or so, I would go back and try to go through these poems to see if I could put the book together. And I was just a mess. Um, so it is a little bit dangerous. And because of that, I feel like I've written a lot less um, since doing this. Because the thing that I will say that she kind of stole from me was I used to write about every single thing that ever happened in my life. And when you write about the things that happen in your life, it's like putting that in stone. You know, like you have your memories, you have like your pain, your love, everything. You have all that anyway. But then when you like put it on paper, it becomes another living, breathing reminder. It becomes another ghost of what you went through. You know what I'm saying? Another ghost that is now going to haunt you. And like, because of everything that happened, I just think a lot more now about what I'm going to write before I write it. And there's been a lot of times when I'm like, I should write this. And then I'm like, no, maybe you shouldn't. And I hate that I have done that. So maybe in putting this book out, that'll go away. Because I feel like the closure that I needed, like that might be the only way to get this book out. And then maybe I could go back to normal, you know? A funny thing about the relationship that I find myself in now is that I'm always around my partner for the most part. And when things are good, we're always together. You know what I'm saying? And so the times that I would normally be writing like these amazing love poems, like I can't do it because we're like with each other. The times when we're mad at each other are the times we're apart from each other. And that's the only time that I would actually have time to write poems about her. But I don't, because I don't want to just have a bunch of poems about how pissed off I am. You know, like killing the Muse in Seasons of the Muse is the biggest section of the book. And I don't want to have just a bunch of poems of how upset I am in a relationship. Like, I want to have the poems about how good somebody makes me feel and how the sun shines brighter when they're around and whatever other cliche you got. Like, I don't want to fucking write poems about how like miserable somebody makes me on those off chances that we get into huge fights, you know? I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's where I am. I don't want to cry right now. I don't know. Every time we go through, I don't know. I've done all right complaining for 60 outcomes. I have to. I don't know. Because like I want my poetry to be therapeutic for me, but I also want it to be art. I want it to be something that when other people read, they could glean something from, they could take something from. I will be right back. I have to go put something outside for my landlord. And so don't go nowhere. Get a cup of coffee. I will be right back. I should have got a cup of coffee. Okay, I'm back. Ow. Oh, that hurt, guys. So anyway, so that's what's going on. But we all, we all learn something from our past, and you learn from your mistakes. And I talked about it on here before, where when you fall in love with somebody and you have a partner, you need to be very careful that the poems you write about that person are not about the romanticized version that you hope they become, because then you start falling in love with the person that you wrote about the poetry. Like you fall in love with that version of that person, that pretend version of that person that does not exist. Whereas what you should do, I think, is put that love in those things that you want to say, instead of just writing poems about it. Give that to the person and like build the love up with the person that you actually have, not the made up person in your notebook. You know what I'm saying? And like there's parts of like if you guys have read that poem of mine, Full of Fire, that's in Winter. I think I'm going to put it in Seasons of the Muse too, just for context. But that poem was insane, like fantasy, and just not who we were to each other, but a very romanticized, passionate, crazy version of, I think, what we both were looking for out of one another. It's crazy. So like, don't go, oh, you wanted someone to do that to you. No, not like that. But yeah. So anyway, that's a good example of probably what not to do, because I feel like as kind of storybook as our relationship was, it was shit like that that kind of made it to where neither one of us were going to be able to fulfill the expectations of the other. Being an artist is hard. being a poet is hard because as soon and dude, I didn't know this was how this was going to be with being a painter on top of everything else, but let's throw this out there. When you're a poet, okay, this it's like clockwork, dude. There comes a time when you start spending so much time with your partner that you're not writing poems to them anymore. You're not doing what you did during the courting phase where you were sending them 3 or 4 poems a day about how much you love them and all this other shit. But then when you're living together, like there's no room for poems because you're like spending every waking moment together. Okay. And nobody like speaks poetically and unless you live in a shack in a backyard, but like just for fun, like nobody like goes, oh, I'm just gonna start waxing and waning poetically. Like that's not something that people do. um I mean, I guess there's some very douchey people that do that. I have seen it done. Let's pretend that that doesn't happen. Anyway, with that said, um the thing comes up like, you don't write me poems anymore. I don't get any love poems from you anymore. What the fuck? um but now with with the painting, like why don't you paint me? Oh my god, there's always something. There's always something, but it's okay. Just gotta try harder, guys. I gotta do better. I gotta do better. Huh, you guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, if you go to igg.me/at/seasons of the muse, the link is down below. You can take a look at the campaign, see all the things that are available. Once you pick something, there's add-ons that you could get. I should probably put that in the description just so people understand, um, who are going for the more add-on based things than the other stuff. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so like we're going to be talking about Seasons of the Muse kind of a lot lately, or over the next month or so. Matt Wall, why do these women? Oh, stop. You think that's what I'm saying right now? Why do these women insist on loving me? Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh, you're funny. Is that what it sounds like I'm doing right now? I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like if you were I don't know, like let's say you were a landscaper or something, and like you meet somebody and they really like your landscaping work. It's like, God damn, that is a nice raised flower bed. Whew. I would love it if that guy made me a raised flower bed. And so she says it to him. They start dating. He makes her a raised flower bed. They move in together. And suddenly she realizes that their backyard looks like shit. And he doesn't really do any work in the backyard. And he's like, well, baby, like I do this kind of work all day, every day anyway. Can't be like bringing my work home all the time. Um, Chris has never made me a raised flower bed. Is Chris a landscaper? Has he baptized you? Why has Chris never made me a raised flower bed? Well, maybe you should talk to Chris about this. I think you should. I think it would be a good conversation to have. Uh, he tried baptizing me. It didn't take. I think I'm allergic. Well, it's a bad carpenter that blames his tools. Oh shit. Oh my god. That is so funny. Ask him. Ask him why he hasn't made you a flower bed. Oh my gosh. He's gonna pop in here in a minute and say, Matt, you need to shut up. Let me see here. Dude, this is insane. I'm trying to do something here. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Wait, did you just call Chris a tool? No, not you. He's the carpenter. You know, like my boss is a Jewish carpenter, that thing. He's the carpenter, and like your baptism didn't take. So, like, I see what you did, and you see what I did. There he is. Dude, why do you have to go make why do I have to make Nikki a raised flower bed, and why am I a tool? You're not the tool, but you probably need some tools now to make a raised flower bed. I don't know. In my analogy with that story, you like not you, but a landscaper would have this conversation with his lady friend. And I don't know. I guess Nikki took landscaper to carpenter to fisher of men. Wait, what lady friend? Oh my gosh. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't talking about Nikki when I was doing the Chris has a lady friend. This is exactly how this is going to go. Okay, so here's the deal. We weren't talking about Nikki, but Nikki has what's the word? Internalized everything I was talking about as to be Chris. You guys know what's happening. You guys know what's going on. Everything's fine here. Nothing to see here. Move along. Go to igg.me/@/seasons of the Muse. Oh my gosh. I had nothing to do with this. This is not me. This is not me. Yeah, this has nothing to do with me. This is not my doing. Oh my goodness. Whew. So anywho, yeah. Not only did I start a campaign for my new book today, but apparently I put Chris in the fire. I didn't get you into anything. I don't know how this turned into a you thing. I really don't understand. I mean, I could go back in the chat and try to figure it out, but I really don't know how this turned into I mean, I could have said, like, instead of a raised flower bed, a model airplane, and then you'd be on the hook for a model airplane. So I apologize. I want a raised flower bed. Oh, but now you want a model airplane? Okay, so Chris, what you have to do now is turn this around into like, why hasn't Nikki made you a model airplane? Saying that is what got you into this mess. Oh, yeah, the I do thing. Yeah, that's how you got into that, dude. Yeah, this I honestly had nothing to do with I had no idea saying raised flower bed was going to exactly. Why hasn't Nikki made you a model airplane? That's exactly like what the conversation needs to be turned into. Right? Isn't that how that works? I think that's how that works. This sounds pretty solid. I think this is how this is going to go. Um, yeah, I had like seriously, if I would have known that saying raised flower bed was going to be like a trigger word or a trigger phrase, um, I wouldn't have done it. I would have come up with something different, like maybe a guy who makes pools, like he's a pool guy. He like puts like nice pools in people's backyards, you know, and this woman meets this guy because he's putting a pool in her backyard. Oh, maybe I should just stop talking. Maybe it should just be toast. There's this guy who toasts bread, and now the woman's like, when we first started dating, you used to toast bread all the time, and now you don't. And he's like, well, hey, like I'm doing other things. I don't know. I just need to knock it off. Chris burns toast. See, there you go. Like that's where I should have gone with this whole thing. I don't want toast. Okay. Yeah, so and then honestly, let's be real. Like you guys had what, like 8 days of heat? I don't know if that constitutes having a pool. Austin Butler, huh? Yeah, I don't know. If his name was Austin Butter, I bet he would make good toast. I don't know if that worked. I guess butlers make toast. Do you guys remember Clue? I'm trying to change the subject now. And everyone's in the room and he says to Tim Curry, and he's like, who are you? And he says, I'm the butler. And he's like, and what do you do? I buttle, sir. Oh my God. Yeah, I think you should really be asking about this airplane. And I think it should be an airplane that you want and not just one that Nikki finds out of a model airplane catalog. Oh my gosh. I'd rather have a boat, a real boat or a model boat, because I would like a boat. I want to go deep sea fishing sometime within the next couple weeks. How far are you guys from a body of water that you could have a boat on? Because you guys don't seem like the type that go to the Lake District a bunch. Don't make him get a boat. I'm not going to make anybody get anything. I'm trying to make people contribute to my campaign. Chris could have his own campaign for a boat, real boat. And Nikki can have a campaign for a raised flower bed and Austin Butter. That checks out. I know I can swim. I'm pretty sure I can't fly. I'm not willing to test that theory. Yeah. Okay. Now I want a campaign for an Austin Butter. There you go. Matt said I could get a boat. Yes. Chris could get a boat. Oh my gosh. What a mess we've caused here today, folks. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, yeah, see, this is what is happening now. This is not good. I did not mean for this to happen. Anyway, if you guys go to I'm going to do this one last time. Go to igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse. I don't know. I haven't looked yet. And I'm going to post the video thing that I did for it, I guess, tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do that. And then on Sunday, we'll have a part 2 launch party. And because I'm probably going to like clean up the thing a little bit. I just wanted to get it out today since we had talked about that. Great chat by Chris. Go get that boat. All right. I'll talk to you all later. Thanks so much.